Hey guys, how are you? Hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm going to be doing another movie review. Now this movie is a low-budget American independent horror film. I don't usually go for these sorts of films because the majority of them are not so good, but I had high expectations for this one because I've heard a lot of good things about it. So I was hoping that at least I would enjoy it. It's released in 2007, directed by Eben McGar, and this movie is called Sick Girl. And the story is as follows. A psychologically mangled teenager embarks on a violent rampage after bullies target her younger brother in this blacker-than-black indie shockfest. Izzy has issues. Her parents are dead, her older brother is fighting in Iraq, and she's the sole guardian of her younger brother Kevin. So what does she do? She wastes anyone who gets in her way. Shocking, demented, brilliant. Sick Girl is brutal, blood-soaked filmmaking that will leave you on the edge of your seat. You will never forget Izzy. You will never forget Sick Girl. So it follows a very basic plot. Izzy is this very psychologically tormented teenager. Her parents are dead, and her older brother used to be in charge of the family, but that's until he was sent to fight in Iraq. Now she is the sole guardian of her younger brother Kevin, so she's forced to step up and accept great responsibility. But clearly she is not fit for this because she is a very disturbed individual. So at the start of the film, you get to know just how psychotic Izzy is, and then she is driven to go even further when she realizes that her younger brother Kevin has been bullied at school. And what she does is quite horrifying, and it doesn't just involve the bullies, but it also goes a step further and involves some other people. And then right at the end, you know exactly what drove Izzy over the edge and what made her psychotic in the first place. But that's something that I'm not going to give away. If you want to know more, then you know the drill. You're going to have to pick up a copy and find out for yourself. So a very, very basic storyline, but hopefully that synopsis has left enough interest and curiosity for you all to go and see the film for yourself. Now my thoughts on the movie. As I said, I don't usually go for these sorts of films, the minimal budget. I think the director had $30,000 to play with. And the reason I don't go for them is because of the quality. It's really, really cheap, and I just can't get into the characters. I can't get into the story, and it just puts me off. I know a lot of people out there are fans of this kind of stuff, but I've had bad experiences with it. And when I heard that this film was $30,000 in the making, I was skeptical that this was going to be a decent film because I've seen films with much bigger budgets that look crap. So the high hopes were quickly dashed, and I know that's very sort of shallow to base a film on its budget, but I still put this film into the DVD player hoping that I was going to get a surprise. And I can say that as far as quality goes, I was really surprised. For a $30,000 film, this film portrays itself as a much bigger budget, and that's down to the very skillful filmmaking. There are some really good shots from far away, and the scenery was good, and the cinematography was good. And considering the money that they had, it's a real skill that the director possesses. So if he can get himself onto a bigger budget film, then God knows what he could do. Because if he can do this with $30,000, then that more directors like this deserve to be encouraged, and hopefully they stay in the horror genre. So it's a very bleak, depressing, grainy sort of feel to the film, and that helps contribute to the mood, which is exactly what the director wanted. So as far as quality goes, don't let the $30,000 budget put you off because it does look very decent, and it looks like a much more expensive film than it was. So I'm sorry, my nose is very itchy. So a lot of people said that the acting ruined the film. Now, of course, you're not going to get Oscar-worthy acting in a low-budget, a micro-budget American independent horror film. As I, no Oscar-worthy appearances like Robert De Niro or something like that. But although the acting wasn't the best, it certainly doesn't ruin the movie. And I think that the critics were a little bit harsh on it because the actors did a fine job. They were very, very young, and I thought that while some parts were a little bit overacted and a little bit fake, on the most part it was acceptable, and I could get into the characters and even feel a little bit of sympathy for some characters. So overly harsh towards the acting. If you've heard bad things about this film, I wouldn't listen to it. I would watch the film for yourself and be a judge for your own, satisfaction. Because as far as I'm concerned, the acting was passable. Especially, you've got to make some allowances for such a small budget and such a young cast. So yeah, I mean the acting wasn't great, but they still did a decent job at it. Now, what I didn't like about the film, the storyline is very, very, very thin, and I'm usually someone who goes for a strong story. But the director, it seems to me that the director wanted to shock people. It's definitely a movie of shock value. And let me tell you, this film is extreme. If you are not a fan of the hardcore sort of cinema, I would stay well away from this, because this film has some truly ghastly moments, especially at the end. Now, I'm not going to give it away, but a lot of people will not be able to handle the violence in this film. It is extreme, so just be very, very careful when you're going into it. Now, the blood and the gore was done very, very well. So that's, a contributing factor as to, the film appearing like it had a lot more money than it did. A lot of effort and respect went into the gore scenes. It didn't look cheap, and it passed off as very, very believable. So, yeah, it really does seem to me, in my opinion, that the director just wanted to shock people, provoke a response, and be controversial, and he didn't put as much thought and effort into the story, which I think would have benefited from it. So, for people who are fans of extreme cinema, you will get something out of this one. I wasn't regretting buying it. I thought it was worth buying. And as far as extreme cinema goes, this one will satisfy a lot of people's needs, because it's very, very bloody and very, very violent. Now, I'm not going to give anything away, but I will say that women, children, and men are not spared in this film. A lot of taboo subjects, so this is going to offend a lot of people, and it's going to disturb a lot of people, and it's going to upset a lot of people, because, as I said, it is violent, and the violence is really, really nasty. So be very, very careful going into this. I thought the ending was decent. As I said, you get to know why Izzy was driven over the edge. But overall, I just wanted something a little bit more from the story. I just felt that that was really thin, and when I saw the film, when it completed, I just thought, it was very shallow. And as far as I go, this is not a film that I would actually go for. But having said that, it's going to be a welcome addition to my extreme horror collection. So that's my review of Sick Girl. I would highly recommend it if you're into extreme, low budget sort of stuff. More movies like this, and I reckon American horror films will be in a much better place, because, although this is not the best film, it's still a lot better than most of the mainstream American crap that's going around there these days. So, yeah, that's my review of Sick Girl. Be very, very careful going into it, because it is a very extreme film. Alright, guys, that's my review. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later. Bye.